So here we are. We're going to get back into the work of Rabbi Yosef Chaim Mimran, the ultimate connection with God. And I started this piece once before, but it's been a lot of water flowed under the bridge. Been doing other things or distracted. I'm still in business, believe it or not. So the ultimate connection with God, the 7-step guide to spirituality. Well, let's come back over here, and he's been talking about the ability of your soul to look at yourself, which is the experience of perception. So now we want to talk about that experience itself. This is part 4. And he's going to quote from the Shari Kedusha, sefer by the name of Shari Kedusha. He says, the soul is comparable to a very long branch that sprouts forth from its roots, which is attached to the tree and extends into the body of a man. Now just picture that, a tree and its roots. Those roots go into deep physicality and ultimately wind up in us. While a person desires to connect to his source, the light of his mind, which is referred to as the thing being perceived by the perceiver. Now this is a concept he's really talking about all the time, but he says that the light of the mind is referred to that which is perceived, the light, by the perceiver. Who's the perceiver? Also known as the perceptual soul. This goes up to the eternal mind. There is really, I think he means only one mind, but we are very limited in our perception of what our mind is really all about. From that mind within us, we can connect to the supernal mind, the ultimate mind, that mind, which is actually the higher root of his soul. So when you say higher in Kabbalah, it also means the inside, the more inside root. There they attach to each other and become one through meditating. So by watching and perceiving your own mind, thus you can come to automatically, if you're able to do this, you have to turn to it, I guess, perceive the higher mind, which is really one with it, but beyond our simple physicality, thus creating an energy bond which comes from the mind to the perceiver. So now you can perceive a bit according to your own abilities. The perceiver to perceive, that comes to the mind to the perceiver. Now you're able to perceive the light of the ultimate mind. It follows that he will perceive the light and the energy itself. It then descends from the mind to the thinking soul. This energy and tangible light is the concept called thought, machshava in Hebrew. Understand this well, because this is not an empty concept. If understood, then you have nullified all the concepts pertaining to meditation through prayer and all the thoughts of man, whether good or bad. Now let's read this. Maybe I read it wrong, so let me read this last part again. If misunderstood, you misunderstand the connection, then you have nullified all the concepts pertaining to meditation through prayer and all the thoughts of man, whether good or bad. Now some of the last part of this, I'm not sure that I understand 100%, but we'll try to see as we get an explanation of what's going on. This isn't from Shari Kedusha, and that's a sefer, very high level. So he writes like this: as the human mind merges with the human spirit, we become unfettered by the rigid, constricted limitations of the physical universe and the forces of din permeating it. Again, your mind can merge with your spirit. Now, I'm not sure the difference between the two. We become unfettered by the rigid, constricted limitations of the physical universe. So this is what we want to do. We want to see that our minds are a part of the supernal mind, which we mentioned before. And this mind actually created the universe. So the universe is very rigid. It's very constricted. Constrictive means it's full of punishments, limitations of the physical universe, and the forces of din, which is punishment, permeating it. This is a difficult world. As they say, you sweat and you toil through life, and then eventually you pass out of this world. Everybody. So all of the nonsense that we see going around us really has this in the background. But on the other hand, it is possible for our minds to connect to the supernal mind. That's what Rabbi Mimran wants to teach us. As the mind expands into the realm of the spirit, that is non-physicality, our consciousness attains access to numerous dimensional planes above our own. You can begin to look at from the top down a little bit, like we're down, we're at the very bottom. The bottom of a whole creation. We can move up and look at it. Thus, when we perform a meditative visualization technique, it has repercussions far beyond the confines of our limited physical space. Therefore, as it is below, so it is above, meaning we are connected. What we think about or meditate upon here below manifests above. Now he teaches like this. Our sages teach us that everything is to be found in our Torah. Our sages also teach us that the entire Torah is the name of Hashem. The holy Mikubalim have already understood the meaning of this. Using technique passed down to them from the biblical prophets, received by them from Moshe Rabbeinu himself at Har Sinai, at the Mount of Sinai, our holy Mikubalim see the inside, the Panemius, have learnt how to draw from our holy Torah divine powers when intertwining and combining its letters. These letters combinations are what we refer to as the Shemos HaKadoshim. These are the holy names of God. Now he says lots of different things in this. One of the things he says is that he goes through the train of how the light flows down to Moses himself, who was tremendously aware, from the consciousness of aware of what was up above and what was below. He was attached to what was above, and that gives you a clear vision of what's really going on down below. Moshe Rabbeinu himself, our holy Mekubalim, had learned how to draw from our holy Torah divine powers. He had said previously that all the letters of the Torah are a name of God. So in other words, each letter has ability to be able to attach itself, or to give us act as a interface between us and what is beyond through the letters themselves, and combining its letters. These letters combinations are what we refer to as the Shemos HaKadoshim, holy names of God. So he says, understand well the 22 letters of the Hebrew language and the correlations to time, space, soul, and consciousness. Our great sages have taught us in their infinite wisdom that the entire Torah is one long name of Hashem, and that every verse also contains a smaller version of that powerful name. So he's saying that in the letters themselves are mind. It's not accidental. All of the Torah is the way it is because it is a part of the chelik of Hashem Ima'al from up above, that original mind. Our sages have also taught us that Hashem looked into the Torah, pronounced some of its letters as if it's possible to say what that would be like, and through the pronunciation, that is the breath that comes out of the creation that Hashem is forming, that's the way I understand pronounced, and created the world. As you recite the Torah and thereby the holy names of the Creator, you actively become a partner in creation. So I'm going to stop here. This is where this year went the last time. I was not able to complete the chapter, and I'm going to do that, but in a separate shir. This is Baruch Fleischman. You're listening to the Tikkun Elevator Kolo, and particularly the words of the Most Holy Rabbi Yosef Chaim Mimran.